Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 42. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian Podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Today, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man news related to Miles Morales on PlayStation 5 and Spider-Man in Marvel's Avengers. Then we'll go into other gaming news and our recent activities. Closing the show out, we'll be talking about the PlayStation State of Play event from Thursday. So, let's start with Spider-Man Miles Morales running at 60 frames per second and 4K resolution. Insomniac kind of just dropped this in like a tweet saying that you could swing through the city like never before on the PlayStation 5 with optimal 4K/60 FPS performance mode. So I think going into the PlayStation 5/Xbox Series X era, this generation, if the game doesn't run at 60, it's going to be like really bad, because I thought that we were going to hit that point with this generation that we're in right now, but we actually didn't. So hopefully most games, or at least the first party games, could do this.
Yeah, like at this point, I think all games should just run at 60 at this point. Like, I think we're at that point where that's like possible.
Hmm.
Because, 60 frames to 30 frames is a big difference. I know people like pretend like it's not, but it is. Like
Hmm.
any frames above 60, I know they make a difference as well. But like if you want the smoothest type of gameplay, I think 60 is like a must now. Like it's just so night and day when you play like, on like a PC with a game that's like 60 FPS, and then you play like the console version, which is like 30 FPS. Like you can really tell. So I think them aiming for this right now with Miles Morales is like a good sign for Spider-Man 2 whenever they make that. So yeah, that's really cool to see that they're already aiming for this, and they're hitting it now. So that's really good to see.
Hmm. Because definitely when you play like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch, I think for up to two players it runs at 60, and then when you go to like 3 to 4, it like goes to 30, and like it's obviously like noticeable. And yeah, like you said, when you go from 30 to 60, it's a big difference. So yeah, I hope that most games can do this, especially the first party titles, because I think that that would be like a big selling point, if you will. But yeah, I didn't even notice that the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game was 30 until it was like, oh yeah, it is 30. And I was like, oh, okay, like I really didn't care. But if I were to see it at 60 now with this new, Miles Morales game, that would be pretty dope.
Yeah, like that would be fantastic. And this is more news from Miles Morales. Is we're probably going to include a PS5 remaster of the PS4 Spider-Man. So that'd be cool to get, obviously make it 60 frames if this is true. And I
Hmm.
guess it gives you more bang for your buck, but also could mean like they might price it higher. Because I
Yeah.
don't know, I thought Miles Morales was probably going to be like maybe $30 or $40 because, the Rabbit says like a shorter standalone game. But if they're going to include a remaster of Spider-Man, on the PS4, they might just bump it up to 60 just to be like, hey, you're getting this other game too. So yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I would probably play the PS4 Spider-Man game again with 60 frames. That would be cool. But it's still kind of annoying because I'm like, I already played it. But it's a
Yeah.
good bonus for anyone that didn't have a PS4 or a Spider-Man. So that's cool.
Yeah. I think Sony's definitely trying to take this next generation by the throat, if you will.
Hmm.
But this like sort of like report came out from like a Game Informer article where like they just revealed that what's it called? I'm trying to find it. It's in the screenshot of this article here. But you will be able to replay the PlayStation 4 game pretty much on the PlayStation 5 title. And like you said, they might try to go and get away with a $60 price tag because of that. I wouldn't be surprised, but I wouldn't mind either, because supposedly they have been describing this title as like a Lost Legacy sort of thing. So it's going to be a much shorter title than the main game, aka Uncharted 4, but it's going to be still a nice little like side quest sort of a standalone game. So $60 with a remastered version of the PS4 game, I wouldn't mind personally, just because I love that game so much. But yeah, I think it's just them trying to get more people in, and to make sure that like if people are jumping over to the PlayStation 4 this next generation, that they're able to replay this game in a way that is feasible without having to. I mean, it's probably the PS4 title is probably going to be backwards compatible, but just like upgrading it and like adding better frames and whatever they want, all of the DLC included. That would be pretty cool. So this is still like a rumor, it's not like official, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, we still don't know much.
All right, so this next piece of news is related to the Marvel's Avengers. This was rumored for quite some time, and it was finally officially reported by PlayStation Blog that Spider-Man will be coming to the Marvel's Avengers game exclusively on PlayStation. So when I saw this rumor, I was like, well, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it turns out it's going to happen. It's going to be exclusive to both PlayStation versions of the game, the 4 and 5, early 2021, no additional cost. But there will also be other exclusive PlayStation content like community challenges and skins. So a lot of people have a problem with this because people view the PC/Xbox One version now as like the worst version because they won't be able to play as Spider-Man. Now, to those people that don't care about Spider-Man, they can still buy it on whichever console they choose. But, in the back of their head, they'll know that, oh, I won't have Spider-Man if it were to ever it probably won't ever come to the other platforms just because Sony probably cut the check and made a deal with a Square or whoever to go and make sure that this happened exclusively for their consoles. But what's your take on this, Damien? Before I ramble on too long.
I know it's just yeah, it's just I think the reason why I could be a little more upset about this is just because it just means Spider-Man won't have a really big role in this game. He's probably gonna be in the game obviously and be a whole hero and stuff like that you could play as.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the most story content he's really gonna have in this game is gonna be side stuff because it wouldn't make sense for them to develop a super fleshed out thing for him if he's only gonna be on one console, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the reason why I'm kind of upset about it because I'm well, Spider-Man's just on the sidelines again. And I'm kind of tired of this happening. Even in the MCU, he was shoehorned in because oh we got him, so we got to put him somewhere. So yeah, it's really annoying that this keeps happening to Spider-Man because I would like him to have a bigger role, and stuff like that, and these crossover type things. But Sony is always trying to do weird things with it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, I guess. Um, I guess it's more upsetting to the other console users or the PC and Xbox versions because they don't really get anything. They don't get something of their own. They just don't have Spider-Man and that's it. They don't have any other character or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they might put Miles and they might make him for everyone. So it's hey, you got Miles and that's Spider-Man. But I don't know. I don't really know what they're gonna do. It might just yeah, you just don't have Spider-Man. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can see why people are upset, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When I first saw people being genuinely upset, I was like, this is nothing extremely new for exclusive console things for multi-platform games. The Soul Calibur games are notorious for this with the Soul Calibur 2 with Link, Spawn, and Hayachi, and then Soul Calibur 4 with Yoda and Darth Vader. Darth Vader, why did I say it like that? And then in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, the Xbox 360 version was definitely the best version because it had the most characters with the Avatar character along with Banjo. And then back in the day on that same generation with Xbox, Call of Duty DLC packs, Microsoft cut the check as well, and we're like, yo, if you put the DLC packs on Xbox first for a whole month early, we will give you money. And that's exactly what Activision did. And they were like, oh, okay, we'll just put the DLC packs here first. And nowadays it's PlayStation who has that sort of exclusive with Call of Duty, especially with the esports scene, I believe, because I think all of the esports Call of Duty players play on PlayStation consoles because of the deal that they made with PlayStation. But yeah, at the end of the day, the way I see it is that it's business. And this is how PlayStation wanted to go about it, or Sony anyways. And people are thinking that Sony owns Spider-Man. They only own the movie rights, which is why it was so complicated for him to get into the MCU the way he did. But Sony doesn't own Spider-Man, guys. That is a big misconception that I think a lot of people on the internet think just because of how big the MCU is. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Sony had to go to Marvel and be like, yo, we want, or whoever, and be like, yo, we want some exclusive content and we will give you money for it. And they were like, well, what do you want? And they were like, well, can we get Spider-Man or some shit? And they were like, oh, okay. Well, you got to give us X amount of money. And they were like, oh, okay. Can we also get extra stuff? And they were like, well, that's obviously going to be extra. So obviously this is their way. All right. So this benefits Crystal Dynamics / Square Enix, because this probably increased sales of the game like by default, because I'm sure there have been multiple people that pre-ordered the game because of Spider-Man and wanted to like play in the beta. Because honestly, I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, do I buy it now and like just like get the free upgrade on PS5 as well? Like, I don't know. But I'm still like hesitant about it because it is $60 for a Marvel's Avengers game that doesn't look that great yet, mind you. And I've only heard like pretty average things about it. But you know, just for like Spider-Man in 2021, which like this is a completely different Spider-Man from Insomniac Spider-Man. Keep that in mind. And we don't know exactly what his gameplay is going to look like and things like that. All we know that is that he's going to be in the game as like a side thing, like you said, Damien. So yeah, it just.
Yeah, it's like it's weird. This whole game is like really weird, like because the game was already kind of not in hot water, but people were very lukewarm about the game already.
Mhm.
So adding this controversy just makes people even more hesitant to even buy the game. Like this game just shrouded in just like people not really wanting to buy it anymore. So it's definitely a game I'm gonna be like cautious about. Like I'm probably gonna watch reviews and stuff and see. I'll probably just wait. And so I know wait, is it gonna be a free upgrade if you buy on PS4?
I believe so. I'm not sure how that works physically.
Oh,
So if you buy it digitally, it should be like almost guaranteed, I would
okay.
imagine. So, but I'm not sure how that would work physically, because you just buy like a used copy and, just be like, yo, I bought it. And then, just like, sell that copy again or whatever. But I might just wait for the PS5 version, going to be honest, just because I'm not really that interested in this game. But, if it is a free upgrade, might as well play it now and then just sort of play it again on the PS5. I'm not exactly sure, because this is supposed to be, like a live service game or whatever the hell it's called. So
Yeah, it's just weird. The game is very weird.
yeah, but I could see why people are upset. But I think being like super angry and really mad about it isn't like the correct approach either. But at the end of the day, I view it as like as a business move, because Sony definitely didn't get away scot free with this, and I'm pretty sure Square knew that, like, or Crystal Dynamics, whoever is like the main like people behind this game, were probably like, well, if we do make this deal, we'll get a lot of money, and we'll probably increase the sales by default on PlayStation because of that, and increase the sales generally, like overall. And
Hmm.
because of like this sort of like controversy, because the internet is the internet, more eyes were put on this game. And I'm pretty sure the game on Amazon, someone like said on Twitter, I didn't confirm it myself, but someone said on Twitter that like it's like the number one selling game on like all platforms that it was available on. So like including Xbox, like people on Xbox don't care. Like if you don't care about Spider-Man, you probably were still gonna buy the game anyways. So
Right. Yeah, it's just a business decision at the end of the day, and like Spider-Man probably isn't ever gonna come to the other versions. I don't think they're just gonna be on PlayStation forever.
hmm
But again, if they could do like Miles could be in the other ones, that'd be cool. That'd be a smart way to like circumvent that. But I don't know. We just gotta see. We gotta see how this game even does, if it even like lives through its first year as like a
yeah.
video game. So.
hmm
All right, so we got even more PlayStation news here. The Last of Us 2 sold 2.8 million digital units. Um, and that says a lot about digital stuff.
hmm
I mean, as a person, has moved mostly to digital at this point. Usually like for like Switch games, I usually get it like physically, just because I don't know. For Nintendo, I just always usually try to get physical. But during quarantine and like the pandemic, some of my games were getting like Xenoblade. I was supposed to get Xenoblade physically through Amazon, and I think it came out on a Friday, but it got delayed till Tuesday, so I just canceled it and bought it digitally. So, and I heard a lot about that happening too, because obviously the pandemic and things getting like, you know, people not getting the deliveries on time and stuff like that. And people just not wanting to go outside, to get games from like GameStop and things like that. So it makes
hmm
a lot of sense that digital like has been like gaining a huge ass boom recently, just because of like the COVID and things like that. So yeah, I don't know what your take is on this, because I
Yeah,
know you buy
like
things physically. So
yeah, I definitely try to be a physical gamer as much as possible. But I think the reason like you subconsciously get things from Nintendo physically is because you know that like their online stuff sucks. So
yeah.
like You know, especially with like the previous stuff like Wii and Wii U, like if you bought something on there, and even for like the Switch to a certain extent, if you buy a digital game, it's not guaranteed that you'll be able to recover that digital game if like your Switch breaks or something happens to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's why you go physical, just to like be safe. But with PlayStation and Microsoft, like they have like pretty robust systems where like it's attached to your account, and as long as you have
Hmm.
access to your account, you can re-download the game, etc. So yeah, like when it comes to digital, like 2.8 million, holy shit, like that is a lot.
It
uh
is.
I'm pretty sure most of those people just bought it because they were like, oh, you know, like it came out, and you know, might as well, you know, play it now because it's pretty big, and you know, like what else am I supposed to do during this, you know, quarantine and pandemic thing that's going on. So but yeah, 2.8 is insane, and I think that with the digital edition of the PlayStation 5, like we are definitely transitioning over to people being very comfortable with just digital only. And I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft also come out with their own like digital only console, because I think they did that with a version of the Xbox where like it didn't have a disc drive or something. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly. But yeah, I think digital only gaming is going to rise just because people want things now and people love convenience. And I think that with the rise of Amazon Prime and streaming services and things like that, we are going to see that like people are very comfortable with digital, and people, you know, gamers have been starting to try to transition into that ever since like the Wii U era, which is like still like technically this generation to think of it,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird. But yeah, people are very much comfortable with digital only now these days, as long as, you know, the hard drives are big enough and they're able to add extra storage and things like that. Because I know when the Wii U came out, it was like 4 gigs or like 32 with like
Yeah.
the launch systems or whatever, and I was like, that is garbage.
Yeah, that
Um,
is so low.
yeah, especially since like games just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah, you know, digital gaming is obviously on the rise, and 2.8 million copies for The Last of Us 2 is kind of crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if Ghost of Tsushima surpassed a million copies at this point. We don't know that, but I wouldn't be surprised if like that data came out and it is true. Yeah, you know, Ghost of Tsushima did sell over a million or whatever the case was. So yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how like I guess the future of like sales goes. Like, you know, we already knew like brick and mortar video game stores are kind of just dead. Like, you know, like GameStop. Like anyone that just sells like pure video games like is gonna go down at this point. At least it's like super niche, like, you know, like a gaming store that sells like retro games or whatever. Like those would probably be fine. But
Hmm.
things like GameStop and like things like that just like they won't last anymore. Like, you kind of have to be like Walmart or Target that like also sells games but also other things, you know, to like live anymore. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't even remember when was the last time I went to a store to get a game. I think it was Breath of the Wild was the last time I did that. So yeah, it's been a very long time since I've actually like went out to physically buy a game not through Amazon. So yeah, it's interesting times, you know.
Yeah, definitely interesting. So, next we're gonna talk about the PS4 peripherals and accessories that'll work on the PlayStation 5. So the racing wheels, arcade sticks, fight sticks will work on supported PS4 games. The headsets, along with any third-party headsets that connect through USB port or audio jack, will work on PS5. DualShock 4 controllers will work on a PS4 games only. They will not work on PS5 games, and then the PS Move and motion controls and VR stuff will work on the VR stuff. So I don't know why this was trending on Twitter, but people were actually upset that the DualShock 4 wasn't working on PS5 games, and I was like, guys,
It's different though.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not exactly sure why you guys are super upset about it. I get that like you're very comfortable with like the DualShock 4 and you don't want to get comfortable, or you don't want to like adjust to the new controller, but like it's a new generation, guys. Like they want to use this controller and like take advantage of it in certain ways. Um, some people might argue the fact that like they want to use it for like multiplayer games and things like that, which like I can see that argument, but like for me personally, like when it comes to multiplayer stuff, I don't really use my PS or my PlayStation family of consoles to really play multiplayer games. The last time I did that was like on the PS2. And when it comes to multiplayer stuff, it's usually on PC or the Switch, just because that's just how I work. But if you know if you're that, you know, person that plays overcooked multiplayer on like your PS4 and you have a bunch of these PS4 controllers, all right, yeah, like that sucks if like they make a overcooked 3 on like the PS5 and you have to buy a whole new set of controllers. But But yeah, like, what's your take on this?
I mean, it's just a new console gen. They're gonna use like different, like the DualShock 3 didn't work with the PS4, so I don't know
Hmm.
why people are upset that the DualShock 4 doesn't work with the PS5. Most of them it's like a whole new, like I guess family of like dual whatever. It's the Dual Sense, not the DualShock anymore. So it's time to, it's different now. And personally, I'm okay with this just because I don't even really like the DualShock 4 that much. Like I think the DualSense looks way more comfortable.
Hmm.
So I don't mind just switching to that. But yeah, I guess it does suck if you already have like a bunch of DualShock 4s, to play like multiplayer stuff, and now you have to buy like a bunch of new ones to play like new multiplayer stuff on the PS5. But you probably should just expect that with a new console gen, because most of the time they don't even let you use the same controller. Like I can't really even think of it. Maybe the PS3 let you use PS2 controllers, but I can't remember. No, probably
Yeah.
not, because they had the six axis. I don't even know. Like I don't even know why people are mad about this.
Yeah, I think when you're bringing up that point of like, oh yeah, people are just upset. I think it's because gamers or like people in general are just like too privileged, and when it or like they feel like they're too. In my opinion, I feel like that they're too privileged when it comes to like things that like they get access to, and like them to expect that like the previous gen controllers will work on the new gen is like a little weird. I'm gonna be honest, because like the only time that worked was like the Wii to the Wii U, because the Wii was kind of like a side upgrade from the Wii. Gonna be honest, but outside of that, most of the time when it came to like controllers work, I think it might be because the Xbox Series X is doing that, where it's like the Xbox One controllers will work with all Xbox Series X
I
games.
guess so, yeah.
So they're like trying to expect it from the other side of PlayStation. But I think this is the first time that Microsoft and like gaming in general is doing it, where like it's a clear transition to a new generation, where like the previous controllers worked on the new one. So
Yeah, and yeah, the Series X doesn't even have a new controller, does it? I don't even know if it does. It just uses the
uh,
Xbox One controller,
it
right?
just looks fancier. I think
Oh,
I'm not
does it? I
entirely
actually don't
sure.
even know I don't even know what it looks like, honestly. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like with the PS5 DualSense, like it's supposed to be like a whole new thing. You have like haptic trigger feedback or whatever. Like it
Hmm.
has new crap in it. Like I'm pretty sure the new Xbox Series X controller is kind of just like an Xbox One controller anyway, so they don't really feel like they need to upgrade. So they're kind of just gonna stick with what they have, and that's fine. But if
Hmm.
the console wants to do new things with new features, then yeah, you're probably gonna expect the old controller not to work anymore. So
Yeah. At least it'll work on, the PS4 backwards compatible games, right? So
yeah.
if you want to get that genuine PS4 experience on your PS5, you can still do that. But, when it comes to the new PS5 games, I want you to play with that new fancy controller that it gets bundled with. And if you're going to worry about multiplayer, then that's going to be your own little issue that not a lot of people are going to have to worry about, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
All right. So we got some Nintendo news.
Pog,
Whoa.
pog, pog.
Pikmin 3 Deluxe was announced. And they're gonna be adding some new things. I think there's new difficulty modes. There's like a new like Olimar and Louie like prologue and epilogue, I think. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's cool. And it comes with all the DLC from the original game as well. Um,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be priced at $60, and people have problems with that. And honestly, I don't mind it that much because I think at least from what I read, what I'm reading from like the content they're adding, it seems more significant than like the past ones. Like especially Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, right? Like that added funky mode, but funky mode kind of sucked. Like and they made that $60. I'm like, all right, that one should have been like $50 or $40. But it seems like Pikmin 3 Deluxe is like adding more things to it to make it more enticing. Like they're adding actually new content to it, and I think that's pretty cool. I mean, you can still make an argument like maybe it should be 50 or whatever, but you also should know like Nintendo is like Nintendo. They're always going to charge like a premium for their games because that's how they are. So, yeah, they've always been like this. So,
Yeah. And I think a lot of people were upset with the tropical freeze scenario was because that game originally retailed at a cheaper
50,
price.
right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
50 or something like that, 50, 40. I forget exactly the price because it's been so long. But then when they re-release it and they're like, all right, now it's going to be 60 and funky mode. And it's like, wait a minute, but it didn't even retail at full price when it, came out and things like that.
Mhm.
And I think the same could be said for Pikmin Deluxe, I think, or Pikmin 3. I think the game didn't retail at 60. I think Nintendo were still doing $50, I think.
Yeah, they were being weird. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Wii U games. So them doing 60 now, I think is fine. Just because Pikmin 3 now is like a $20 game, it's because Nintendo themselves, they purposely released it as a Nintendo Selects title, which by default, it's a re-release of the game. So there's going to be more copies of it out there. And it's going to be at $20. So like the value of Pikmin 3, because before they re-released it as a Nintendo Selects title, the game was like more than $60 because it was a rare like collector's item, because I guess it obviously didn't sell all that well because there were no copies around. But once they re-released it as a Nintendo Selects title, whenever they did do that, the price drastically went down. So when it comes to Pikmin 3 Deluxe, they're adding a lot of new content, I think, and the DLC from the third game, I personally didn't buy on the Wii U, so that's going to be very interesting to try out and play. And if you didn't know, Pikmin 3 is one of my favorite games on the Wii U and probably one of my favorite Nintendo games, period. So more difficulty modes, side missions with Olimar and Louis. Like, I think that for $60, especially for Pikmin, because Pikmin is not as big as like Mario or Donkey Kong and their other like flagship titles. This is Pikmin we're talking about here. So like, if you're like a true like hardcore like Pikmin fan, you're probably gonna buy this along with myself at $60 and not really care about it. And it's coming out like very soon, October 30th. So yeah, like I am very excited for this. I wonder how the controls are going to be, because honestly, I think it worked super well on the Wii U because you could use the Wiimote and Nunchuck, which works perfectly for Pikmin, and you can use the Wii U gamepad for like the map to like multitask the three characters around. So I'm not entirely sure how they're going to implement that for the Switch version. I hope it works well, and I hope the controllers on the Joy-Cons or the Pro controller work fine, because honestly, it's kind of hard to beat the Wiimote and Nunchuck combo when it comes to Pikmin.
Yeah, yeah, like I know when the New Game Plus came out, or new, where was the Wii one? When the remake, or not remade, when they re-released the or the first Pikmin on Wii. There you go. I know people love that control scheme with the Wiimote and Nunchuck because it just feels so natural.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be weird, I guess, not to have that, but I guess I go back to like GameCube era controls for Pikmin, which I know people weren't that excited about because they love the Wiimote, but that doesn't really exist anymore. Because I'm not sure if you can use the Joy-Cons in that same way. Like I know they have like some motion control, but I don't know if it works like a pointer like the Wii did. So
yeah, probably not.
yeah, so it's probably gonna just be like back to like how it used to be. And I'm excited to play this. I actually like never played a Pikmin game before, even though I love RTS games. I just never played Pikmin before. I have Pikmin 1 on on the Wii, so I should probably play that first. But I probably will just pick this up because I know Pikmin 3. I know it's a little easier too than like Pikmin 1, so it's probably like a good like just like get my feet wet with the series, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for it. And again, the $60, I know that could be kind of a bummer with a re-release, and maybe it should be cheaper. But I think with the things they're adding feel more significant than the other like deluxe versions. Like what was the other one? Mario
U.
Yeah, Mario U. Like that added nothing. I think like I had new Luigi U. I think, but like whatever. Like who cares? Like at least this one's actually adding like new crap to it. So yeah, I think it might be more worth $60 than the other ones they've released. So yeah, I don't mind it that much, honestly.
Yeah, I think Pikmin 3 might be a good intro for the series, just because they've added like so much in the game where like Pikmin 1, like if you like make a mistake, you can't like redo a day. So like in this game, like if you like mess up like pretty bad, like you could honestly like redo a day, like go back and like things like that. So there's a lot more you could do with Pikmin 3 that I really, really liked, and which is why it's probably the best one in the series. But some people might argue with Pikmin 1. If you try to argue Pikmin 2, I think you're kind of crazy, because that game, they tried to do a lot with it, and like they added like the cave system where like
dungeons.
Yeah, it like stopped time, and I was like, I didn't like that. Like I'm not under pressure anymore. I could just take my time down here. So, but yeah, like Pikmin 3 is definitely super duper good, and I hope people will support it when it comes out on the Switch for $60. I know $60 is still a lot of money, guys, but it's Pikmin we're talking about here, and if you want more Pikmin, please buy it. God damn it.
Yeah, I'll probably pick it up, honestly.
Yeah, I'm 100% gonna pick that up. Like Jesus, like I might not have the money on me right now, but I'm gonna buy it. I don't care. Last piece of news we got here is a ongoing story, so we might cover it in another episode, but it's still very early on. This is a Sly 4 fan game, Sly 4 Deceit of Thieves. It is being pitched as a illustrated treatment slash pitch as a fan script as like a true sequel to Sly 3. And it's being made by Kev Savo and his other friend, I forget his name. But I have been following Kev Savo and like his videos for a while now. He doesn't have a lot of them on YouTube anymore, but he used to do a lot of like Sly Cooper videos back in the day and things like that. And yeah, they want to make a sequel to Sly 3, but a better one than Sly 4 than Sinzari made. And they're sort of like pitching this idea of like what the story is going to be. And like, at first I thought it was just going to be like a fan animation thing or whatever that they were going to do, because they showed a lot of that stuff in like their treatment video, as they call it. But it's actually going to be like a game that they're trying to develop and like get off the ground and things like that. If they were to do that, it would 100% have to be free download, because they can't make any profit from this game, I would imagine, because they're using another IP owned by Sony. So I'm not sure if like they're gonna get DMCA'd or things like that, but I wish them the best of luck. I hope that they have fun with it, because they are very like passionate about Sly Cooper and they love the series. But some people think that this is like the wrong way to go about it and things like that, and I'm like, they do have a point there, but at the end of the day, I think as long as they are not trampling on any legal territory, like they aren't like actually like trying to sell this game to people like for money, and they're just trying to like have fun with it, make like a fan-made Sly Cooper game, best of luck to them, because I'm pretty sure that that's going to be one hell of a task.
Yeah, like they don't own the IP. Like I don't know how. Like I know Sonic is like Sega's usually okay with like people doing fan Sonic games. Like pretty like they're pretty chill about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anyone's actually tried to make like a fan like Sony game before. Like I don't really see many like here's like Jack and Daxter like whatever. Like I never really seen that. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Sony's gonna approach. I mean, I think they're gonna be the same approach as Nintendo, where they kind of just like, nah, don't do that. But we'll see. I mean, especially when Sly is still not like dead. Like, there's still like the whole like TV show like movie thing. I don't know what's going on with that. Like, it's still like a thing that's happening. I think so. Like, I don't know if Sony really wants people to mess with the IP right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, in terms of making Sly 4, I guess I could just talk about my opinion on Sly. I only played the first two worlds first, or you only played the first two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if this is like a not popular opinion, but I kind of like it a lot. Like, okay, like all right. So it seems like the main issue people have with the game is the story and characters. And yes, I do agree they feel a lot not as good as the original ones. I'll say that. Like, it definitely feels more kiddie and like not as good. Like like just the character interactions and like just like the villains for each episode, yeah, they definitely feel not as good as the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say gameplay wise, I do like it a lot more than Sly 3, if I'm gonna be honest, since it feels a lot more like Sly 2 with like bottles and just like how the levels were, and like just the jobs themselves feel a lot more like platformy, I guess. So it's like a weird mix of Sly 2 and 1 to me, where like the levels have like a lot more platforming stuff into them and stuff like that. I think they do the different characters a lot better than 3.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like you have the main trio, Bentley, Murray, and Sly, and they all play exactly how they did before, but they also add an ancestor to each like world, I guess, and they mostly just feel like Sly with different things. Like, at least with the first two, like the first Ninja Cooper, like he feels good, he's just Sly, but he has like a really long jump. And I love Kid Cooper, Tennessee Kid Cooper. He was fun because he has a gun, and that's cool. And you could do like McCree's ult, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
And you get Carmelita later too, but she also just like shoot things, so that she's fine too. And you play as her in Slide 3, so it was fine. But yeah, honestly, I really do like the mission structure and just how the game presents itself, because it just feels like Slide 2, and I'm all good with that, since that's still my favorite Slide game. But yeah, again, it seems like a lot of the criticism is mostly towards the story and characters, which I do agree isn't as good as like the original Sly games, and yeah, I'll fully agree with that. But to people saying like just like I'm gonna remake Sly 4, it's just like, I mean, I don't think Sly 4 was bad. At least I don't think it's bad right now. Like, that opinion could change. I don't know. I didn't beat it yet, but I definitely think it's good. Like, I think Sanzaru did try. It didn't feel like just like a cash grab or anything. I really felt like they did want to make a Sly game, like, and I think they did a pretty good job with it. But again, I don't know if that's like I'm alone here. Like, what do you think about Sly 4?
Okay, so when Sly 4 originally came out back in, what was it, like 2012 or whatever the year it was?
Yeah, no, 2013.
Oh,
Yeah.
2013. Okay.
Oh, the load
So,
times also suck, by the way.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So like the one major complaint, like I think everyone could agree with, is that the load times are really, really bad. But like,
yeah.
despite that, I think the game was like pretty fun, and like I and like the story, like people will like complain about like how the characters interact and like things like that. But like at the in my opinion, I think that that's like kind of nitpicky in a way. Like,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
all right, so like the main villain that like you'll eventually interact with, I'm not gonna like majorly spoil it for you, but like
Hmm.
the major villain that like you eventually interact with is like not the best, not the greatest, and like the final boss is really, really bad, gonna be honest.
Okay.
But when I like finished the game, I was like, I had fun with that. Like I had a good time with it. It definitely felt more like Sly 2 with a combination of Sly 1 with like, more platforming and things like that. Because Sly 3 was fucking all over the place, if we're gonna be
Yeah.
honest. Like Sly 3 was like, all right, so they thought that that was gonna be like the last Sly Cooper game, so they kind of just like threw everything down and were like, all right, what do we want to do? Like, what are we gonna like try out here, sort of thing. But yeah, I think that Sinzaro, like, they definitely had a real passion for Sly. They had a real like fandom for it. Like they were fans of Sly, which is why like when they wanted to do a Sly 4, like they pitched it to Sony, and then Sony was like, all right, so like remake the first 3 games, and then we'll see how the collection does. And the collection sold pretty well, so they were like, okay, so here you go, now you can do Sly 4. And they did Sly 4. And yeah, I think that at the end of the day, it's not like a terrible game. It's not even like a terrible Sly Cooper game either. I think that a lot of people just like have like this perception of like, oh, it's not made by Sucker Punch, so it's not as good, sort of thing. But Kev Savo and like his team like going in and like doing like this treatment thing. I'm not 100% down with it, but I'm not 100% against it either. If he does get DMCA, you should have seen it coming, bro. Like, I think you should have just like finished the game, with busy, just like quietly sort of like working on it, and then just like release it, and then just, whatever happens, sort of thing. But yeah, now that like he publicly like made it official, like they're working on a Sly 4 Deceit of Thieves, and like this like their concept and like their fan script and things like that. If they do get DMCA'd, maybe they could just make a fan animation trailer or movie or whatever, because I think that honestly, like the cutscenes that we saw from like their treatment video was like decently good, and I think that the ideas that he does have are pretty good too. But going in the way of being like, all right, we're gonna retcon what Sinzaro Games did is kind of harsh. I'm gonna be honest, because
Yeah.
they definitely like were fans of the series, and I think that they tried their best in what they wanted to do, and them leaving it on a cliffhanger wasn't 100% intentional. They actually wanted to do like a DLC thing with Sly in Egypt, but the game unfortunately didn't sell all that hot. So
No. Yeah. I mean, I also
yeah.
blame it. It was a very late PS3 game. Like, it came out in
Mm-hmm.
2013. Cause yeah, and I just know like it's still like people didn't really want 3D platformers at that time either. I think the only one that was doing well was like Ratchet, but the last Ratchet game, like major Ratchet and Clank game, came out in like 2009 with Crack in Time. Like Instant Nexus also came out in 2013, but I don't think that one sold. It sold okay, I think. Like it
Mm-hmm.
sold probably more than Slide 4, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just like I don't know. I still felt like it was that time of like people didn't really want 3D platformers at that time. And like if
Mm-hmm.
Sly 4 came out now, I think it would have done a lot better, just because you could see like a bunch of 3D platforms popping up again. So
Yeah.
it's kind of just unfortunate timing when it did came out. But yeah, I guess in terms of this fan thing, I definitely like the ideas they were showing, and they obviously put a lot of thought into it. And it does sound, I guess, more like like a continuation. I guess. I mean, obviously, Slide 4, the actual Slide 4, does continue where Slide 3 left off. But I guess in terms of like themes and like the older Sly's dad's Cooper gang, I guess it does a good job fleshing that out more in this fan script. But I think making a full game is just way too ambitious. I feel like they should just make like a long cutscene or movie or something. I think that would have been like if they're really down just to like mess with the story and like just make it how they thought it should be. I think making like a cool little like movie thing would have been better for them and more achievable than like making like a full game. Like I think that's a little much. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you should start maybe with the story and like just presents it what you want it to be, and then maybe in the future you could like do a cool little fan game. But I feel like just jumping the gun to a full fan game just feels a bit much.
Yeah, definitely super ambitious by them, but Best of luck. Hopefully, Sony doesn't see this shit and
Yeah.
they're able to just keep their heads down and keep working, sort of thing. But yeah, anything like new Sly Cooper related will obviously have like the entire community like have their eyes on it, and like yeah, some people are for it, some people are against it. I'm just like, hopefully it doesn't do too much legal trouble and things like that, because I think like one day, like hopefully one day we'll get like something Sly Cooper related, because there have been many reports of like the TV show, the movie, things like that. So if we could get like a PS5 collection, I'm down like 100%. Like just re-release the games again. I don't care. Just give me a excuse to like support the series so Sony can see that people still want this franchise. And I think that there was like a recent like one of those like gaming websites did like a poll, which franchise do you want to see return on like the PS5, and a lot of people said Sly Cooper. I think Sly Cooper was like the number one on like that given poll, and that made me happy because that means I'm not the only one.
Yeah, like honestly, and I'm gonna talk about this game. If Destroy Humans could come back, Sly Cooper could come back. Like,
Yeah.
it actually surprised me that Destroy Humans came back. So yeah, anything is possible, honestly. And I think Sly Cooper has a better chance to come back than like a lot of other like IPs. So yeah, I think Sly could get like a PS5 game, hopefully. So we just gotta wait and see, though.
Yeah, let's hope something happens.
Yeah.
But let's get into our recent activities. Do you want to go first? 'Cause
Yeah,
you have
I
the
guess
shorter list.
Yeah, I guess I could go first.
Actually, wait.
Oh,
You should probably
okay.
go second because of the Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, you're right. I finished
Yeah,
Ghost of Tsushima. And we gotta talk about that. You can go first then.
Yeah, so I'll try to be quick. So Legend of Korra, finished that. Watched all of it. As a sequel to Avatar, it's not as good. The problem with Korra is that like they never knew if they were gonna get 4 seasons, but they ended up getting 4 seasons. So the first book, they like kept it as like one contained story, so like a lot of it just doesn't make sense, where it's like the final episode, like Korra loses her bend. She lost her bending, but she knows how to airbend because she was having trouble with it. Like the entire season, she had trouble airbending. She lost all of her 3 elements, but she learned how to airbend. And then all of the sudden, Avatar Aang comes out and just gives her all of her bending back, and then she gives bending back to Lin, who is Toph's daughter, and things like that. And I'm just like, that kind of didn't make sense. So and like it totally didn't make sense, because when the disc ended, I was like, wait a minute, is that really how it ended? Because I'm gonna be honest, I watched all of Korra, because once I finished it, I was like, I actually watched all of this, but I didn't remember any of it. So when I finished book 1, I was like, wait, did they put more episodes on book 2? But I'm like, no, they didn't. That's actually how it ended. What the hell? Book 2 is not much better. They tried to explore some other things with like the first Avatar and things like that, but the whole spirits angle just didn't work for me. Book 3, supposedly this is like the best book, or like the best season out of Korra, which it kind of is. It's just that Zahir, he's like freaking OP. So like in book 3, like there's like a bunch of people that just randomly got airbending because of like the spirit world and things like that. Like it was just like a sort of like butterfly effect of it. And like, this guy's here, he just read a bunch of books and he knew how to airbend like a freaking master. And I'm like, okay, like he's just broken. But like we don't know what his intentions are with Korra until like the end, where like he wants to like stop the Avatar cycle and like bring the world at like equality and whatever he wanted it to do. And I was like, okay, I guess, I don't know. But and then book 4 is about it's
the Earth Lady.
The Earth Lady, and it takes place like 3 to 4 years after book 3. So like they were like, all right, we gotta like time jump here to like make it somewhat interesting. And book 4, like it's all right. Like definitely, like the series as a whole, the reason why Korra is not that great is because Korra just loses like every fight. Like she never won a fight, I think, even against like random like jobbers and like these like grunts and things like that. Like she'll just lose. So like the first book, like she just lost to these like chi blockers, and I was like, what the hell? Don't you know all 3 elements? What's going on here? And like when she goes into the Avatar state, like in the original Last Airbender, when Aang went into the Avatar state, you knew shit was gonna go down. Like it was like Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan bullshit, But like in this series, like it's just like the 5th element. and like she like goes into it, and then she like loses, and I'm like, why is it written like this? So like the power dynamics of this series are definitely like not all there, and like the writing is not as good because like there's like a lot of missed jokes. I'm gonna be honest. I love Milo. Like a lot of people hate Milo. I fucking love him just because he's so dumb and stupid. I just laugh. But yeah, like Korra is definitely like not that great. But I wouldn't say it's like completely terrible either, because I mean, like some of the animation things that they do is kind of jarring. Like every single time I see CG, I'm like, get this out of here. I hate it.
I mean, yeah, that's what like everything, even in anime, when you see CG, is like,
Yeah, as long
yeah.
if it's done well, I don't care. But if
I mean,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
terrible, I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, if it's like obviously CG and doesn't like fit with any art style, it's just kind of there. It's just like, that doesn't look very
Yeah.
good.
And like sometimes they'll like drag characters for like animation. I'm like, that looked bad. Like, holy moly. And like, I don't know why, but like they just didn't give the show a budget or whatever. Like, all
I mean,
right,
Nick just treated it really badly from what I've heard. So
yeah. And I was just like, man, like this show could have been so much better if like it was actually taken care of. So that just
yeah,
sucks. But you know, at the end of the day, there's 4 seasons of it, and if you want to watch it, you can. But personally, if you want more Avatar, just read the Dark Horse comic, because that actually continues right where the season finale or the series finale left off. So just read that. Demon Slayer. I watched all of Demon Slayer, all 26 episodes, because I'm a shonen idiot, shonen trash, as I like to call myself. But yeah, I was like, all right, what the hell is this, Demon Slayer anime about? And I watched it, and I was like, wow, this shit's really good. So the premise of it, I'm actually not gonna like spoil anything. So like the premise of it, I was like, I could see why some people say it's cat, but at the end of the day, I'm watching fucking Japanese cartoons here, so I'm just gonna get into it. And like by the end of it, I was like, this is really good. I really liked it. The infamous or famously known episode 19, like that episode was beautiful.
yeah,
And like the animation of the show is really really good, like
yeah.
definitely super good for a shonen anyways. But yeah, I really like Demon Slayer, and I watched it subbed, but the dub, I watched like some clips of it on like YouTube, and the dub is not that bad either.
Yeah, I think it's on Toonami. I think
It was
that's where
on
it's going.
Toonami. Yeah.
But yeah, actually, this is a good example of a show that does CG well, because the show actually uses a lot of CG, but like they use it for like clever ways. Like every time there's like an effect on the sword, that's all CG. Whenever a character is like far away and they have to like do a thing, like, you could tell the character's CG, but you also can't. Like they use it in really smart ways, and the studio that made this show like really they did a really good job animating it. It looks very nice.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I need 3 more episodes. I've been slacking. I need to finish it, but yeah, I feel like it's like the same way with My Hero. Like it doesn't like reinvent the wheel or anything. It just does what it does very, very well, and that's
Hmm.
good. Like you don't need like a thing that breaks like conventions or whatever. Sometimes you just want a really good shonen show, and this it does that really well. Like I think it just does everything super well, and I really like Tanjiro like a lot. Like he's a really good main character. Like I think I like him more like than Deku or whatever, because I don't know, he feels more fleshed out. Like he's not like angry all the time. He's like, but he could get angry sometimes. He feels like a person. Like I don't know. I like
Yeah.
it. I like the character. He's good. So
I
yeah.
think Tanjiro as like a main like shonen protagonist, I think people like him more than like Deku, is because like he went through some shit. Like he
Yeah.
100% went through some shit. And you see that in episode 1, obviously. And when he like, but like at the end of the day, like he's like grounded in reality, and like he knows like what has to be done and like things like that. So I think that he's just like a super like real character in that sense. As dumb as that might sound, but like he's just more grounded in that way.
No, it makes sense because on Attack, I love Attack on Titan. It's amazing. But with Aaron, like, and this is like in the first episode, Aaron's parents die right from Titans, right? It's like it's literally
Hmm.
the exact same thing that happens to him in Demon Slayer, right? Like his like this is spoilers for episode 1. Is that big
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
deal?
yeah. He's not that big. He's
You know,
not that big.
yeah, like Tanjiro's family all died from demons except like his sister and things like that. And that's the important difference, right? Like Aaron fucking hates Titans like a lot, and like the whole show he's super angry like all the time. But the fact that Tanjiro's like sister is a demon now makes him like more sympathetic to the demons and stuff like that. So it makes his character more complex. Like he doesn't just hate demons all the time. Like he understands that there were once people that like have been like transformed into these horrible things and things like that. Like I don't know, it just gives it a more interesting ways. Like he doesn't really like he doesn't enjoy killing demons or anything. Like he wants them to like be free from like their suffering or whatever, and it just makes it more interesting. So yeah, I really enjoyed his character a lot, and that's not something I could say with a lot of shonen main characters, as most of the time they're kind of boring. But
Hmm.
yeah, he was really fleshed out. I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect that either, so that was a pleasant surprise from that. So yeah,
Yeah, Demon Slayer is really really good.
yeah, it was really good.
But after Demon Slayer, I started watching Kill a Kill.
Hell yeah,
Um,
dude.
I'm currently on. I think I'm on like episode 12 or something like that. Last time I started watching it, I stopped on episode 6 or 7 or something like that. But I'm on. Next episode I have to watch is episode 11. But it's getting pretty good. Honestly, like it's just so balls to the wall and fucking crazy.
Yep,
I'm just like
that's
whatever.
Trigger. Trigger does that.
I'm like this is kind of crazy. And to anyone that wants to see like my anime list, because I did make a account for that website, myanimelist.net/profile/TV Sonic Gaming, if you want to see my ratings and what I've watched so far and what I plan on watching and things like that. But yeah, Kill a Kill. So far, I'm liking it. It's a slightly above average, but it's not like too like mind blowing in my opinion. The fan service is definitely like I wouldn't say a plus, but it's not a negative either. So
Like, yeah, I mean, it's really is like that on purpose. Like, I know people want to be, make it deeper than it is, or like really shit on the show because there's a bunch of fan service, but it's just kind of just doing what it does, and I love it. I mean, I'm really biased because I love Gainax/Trigger because they made Gurren Lagann and like Kill la Kill. Well, they didn't make Gurren Lagann, but they kind of did. It's complicated, but yeah, it's the same exact style show, and I just love Trigger's animation. It's so good. Like no anime looks like their shows. Like it looks really good. I love it. So yeah, again, you have to know what you're getting into when you watch it. It's stupid, but
yeah.
like you'll enjoy it.
It's dumb fan service action, so it's the
Yeah,
best way I could really describe it.
basically.
One quick comic that I want to touch on real quick. I finally got around to finishing the 5-part TMNT slash Power Rangers crossover. And it was pretty dope. I'm gonna be honest. If you like both of these sort of like series or franchises, give this book a read. You don't need to read any of the other Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers comics because I didn't, and I still was able to follow the story. As long as you know what it's 4 Ninja Turtles with a Master Rat and these 5 kids from Angel Grove that became Power Rangers. That's pretty much it. So, and yeah, they do a lot of like pretty cool things with the 2 franchises. Then I played some games, obviously, League of Legends, Valorant. More Valorant than League. I've been playing League like kind of casually now, because I don't really see myself being a pro anymore. Gonna be honest. But that's just at least I went for it. At least I tried. That's the good thing about it, and I learned a lot during these like past 2 years, and now gonna have to wait for COVID to be over before I could go back to school because I don't like doing online classes. But that's just my personal preference. Valorant. Been playing a lot more of that. Act 2 started. I think I placed in like silver or something. I forget. But yeah, Valorant. The new Agent Killjoy. I think she's pretty good. Gonna be honest. She like does a lot of like weird things that like not all of the Sentinels do. So like the other 2 Sentinels, Sage and Cypher, like. But Killjoy could actually like do damage with her turret and things like that, and like her other abilities. So like with Sage and Cypher, like they can't really do damage with their abilities. So it's very interesting to see Killjoy being able to do that with her stuff. But yeah, Valorant is still super fun. I normally play with friends. I don't like playing solos because don't want to get flamed for being bad because I already know that. Then I played Gods Will Be Watching on stream. I thought I was gonna be able to beat it within 5 hours, but that game is actually like hard because I'm dumb. So it's pretty much like it's a game where you have to like manage like tasks and like decisions that you make and things like that. And like the first like I think I got up to like the level where you have to like survive like 20 days or something like that, where you have to like fix the radio or whatever. But before then I was doing like okay, and I was honestly having fun with it. But once I got to that level, I was just way too dumb and just like, all right, I'm done here. Like this is just way too complicated for me. But I still had like a pretty good time with the game, and it's pretty fun. It's actually kind of old too. I think it came out in like early 2010s or something like that, like before 2015. But yeah, Guys Will Be Watching is definitely a fun indie game. I replayed Sonic Adventure 2 for stream. That game is still trash, gonna be honest. I thought honestly, like, so when we like did like that like that like mock like speed run of like me, you, and Kofi like playing that game. And
Yeah.
then I got to like the second Knuckles level in like the desert. That's when I knew like this game did not age well. I was like, this game is so bad, I hate it. And now that I fully played it, I can confidently say that I really don't like Sonic Adventure 2. Is it complete trash? Not necessarily, because the Sonic and Shadow levels are still the highlight of the game. But the Tails and Eggman levels are just whatever. The Knuckles and Rouge levels, I hate them, especially Rouge. Oh my god, bro. Space, whatever, that her final level.
Mad Space? Yeah.
Yeah, Mad Space. Oh my god, man. I was on that level for like half an hour because of just like how big the level was, and I was just like, I hate everything.
Yeah. I hate Mad Space so much.
Yeah. That game, I was just like, oh my god. And me and Kofi are gonna do like a live speed run of like me and him like kind of like trying to see who could beat the game faster. We're just gonna do hero story. We're not gonna do dark story because it's a lot of bullshit in there, gonna be honest. But yeah, we're just gonna do like hero story. I'm not sure when we're gonna do that, but we're gonna do that in the future hopefully. Spider-Man PS4, replayed that. I haven't finished it yet. I'm only doing it for the retrospective video because I haven't like fully played the game from scratch. I've only played it on New Game Plus I talked about in a previous episode. But starting from scratch, having to like upgrade everything again, I was just like, damn, man, I'm like kind of weak because I'm not like doing like all of these like fancy combos on them and like being able to do everything that I'm used to doing. So gonna have to upgrade that thing, do this, do that. But yeah, it's still really, really fun. Definitely still my favorite PlayStation 4 game by far. Then the hot indie game on the market, Fall Guys. It's a platformer battle royale. I actually did like a pretty quick game review on it. I literally like wrote the script and like edited it all yesterday. And I was like very like surprised that I was able to do that. But yeah, it's a platformer battle royale, and like you'll be doing platforming based challenges. There's like races, survival, and like team based games and things like that. It's really, really fun. If you're able to play with like 3 of your other friends with you, I highly recommend it because it is super duper fun. But yeah, that's enough for me because I've been talking for way too long. So what have you been doing, Damien?
All right, so yeah, right. Talk about Sly 4. So yeah, I beat Sly 3, and yeah, I mean, my opinion still stands. Where I think it's not as good as Sly 2, but it's still good. I think if that pirate level wasn't there, it probably would have been even, honestly. But that pirate level, yeah, that level did not do it for me. And like the final level was also really good. Like I think it did a good job using everyone well as you rotate between all the characters and things like that. But it still is the problem where it's like there's too many characters in this game, and some of them aren't enjoyable. Like Dimitri just sucks. Like I'm happy you only use him twice, cause yeah, you use him in a boss fight. I'm like, you're kidding me?
Okay,
Yeah.
so like the final level with Dimitri, I still do this when I play that level. I flip my PlayStation controller upside down so I know where like, because like when it goes left you have to hit circle, and then when it goes right you have to hit square. So like when I was a kid I would just like flip the controller upside down and then just do it like that. And I probably still might do that if I ever get around to replaying Slide 3. But yeah, Dimitri definitely sucks. The pirate level is not good. But what else do you think about the final level and things like that?
But yeah, but overall, I think the final level was really good. Like, I think I used everyone really well. I wish he used Panda. I actually really like playing as Panda King. He was pretty fun. But and the final boss was like actually like pretty difficult. I'm like, oh shit, there's like phases and stuff, and that's crazy. Actually, that could be said with a lot of bosses in Slide 3. Like a lot of bosses were like really good. Actually, I really did enjoy them. And I thought Dr. M was a cool villain. So I wish they like flesh him out a little more. Like I wish they did more things with him. But I think overall it was a good game. It was really good. I really enjoyed myself with Slide 3. I just felt like it was a little unfocused at times, and I think that's why I'm enjoying Slide 4 a little bit more, just because I feel like it sticks mostly with the main 3 plus the Ancestor Cooper, which is mostly just Sly with a new ability, which is good. Like I actually like how they did Slide 4 with the multiple characters. But yeah, Slide 3 is still a great game. I think it's still a good way to end end that original trilogy with Sucker Punch and things like that. And I highly enjoy myself. It's a great platformer, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'll say hopefully they remaster, or I guess like put it on PS5 at some point. Just the whole collection with Slide 4 included, just so it could gauge interest for another Slide game, hopefully. But yeah, overall I think it was a great game. So yeah. I guess next I've been playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order because I actually have a new PC now.
Pog.
Thank you government money. But yeah. Anyway, I was able to finally play some games because I know this game kind of runs like Garbo on consoles. And and it runs pretty well on PC, but it is, you could tell it's not optimized too well sometimes, because obviously my PC can handle like almost anything right now, and
Hmm.
what you call it, like there's still times where it kind of stutters a little bit, and there's some weird glitches that I heard, but besides that, the game runs fine. And anyway, I think I'm just happy that we have a Star Wars game that's like really good because it's
Hmm.
been a while. Like I can't even think of, like, I guess like Force Unleashed 1 was like the last really really good one, or not really really good, like, but it was pretty good. But for me, it was really Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront 2 on PlayStation 2 that I absolutely loved. Like I love that game. That was like one of the first online experiences that I ever played, and I just have a great time with it. So it's really good to have like just like a new Star Wars game that's like really good, and its structure is really like refreshing from like other AAA games because it's like a weird Dark Souls like slash Metroidvania game, which I just found to be really fun. Like the game can be really difficult sometimes because it's like Dark Souls where you have like bonfires and you have to, like, if you die you like lose all your level ups and things like that. You have to kill, not even kill the enemy, you just got to hit it to get like the skill points and stuff back.
Hmm.
Just like parry timing and like dodge window. You gotta know the patterns of the enemies and bosses you're fighting. I just think that's it's really cool. It's just like a, like, not, it's not, I don't want to say it's like fully Dark Souls because the structure is Dark Souls, but it's not gonna be as hard as Dark Souls. But it's a good way to get, like, I guess your feet wet with that sort of style of play if you're not like used to it.
Hmm.
And you can just change the difficulty on the fly. So if it's too hard for you, you can just change it to easier difficulty mode if you're having a hard time. But besides that, I think to do like the lightsaber and stuff, to do that well. It's kind of like Ghost of Tsushima with like the pairing, and if an enemy glows red, you have to like dodge it and things like that. So I'm like, oh, this reminds me of Ghost of Tsushima like a lot. But yeah, you get different Jedi powers and stuff like that. Like force push and like, you probably get a double jump at some point, I think. And it just has all those good moments of a Metroidvania, where there's a lot of things you can't get at the moment, but you have to come back and get it later. But yeah, I just think it's very enjoyable right now. I'm about like 7 hours in. I don't think the game is that long, which is also nice. I like playing shorter games at the moment, so I really do enjoy that. But yeah, I think Respawn did a great job with this game, and I'm happy that it's good, honestly, because it's been a while since there's been a really good Star Wars game, especially like a single player one. So yeah, I think they did a great job making you really feel like a Jedi. So yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Um,
When
and
I
then
played that
next,
game,
oh
when
yeah,
oh yeah, yeah, just like my quick little thing. When
yeah,
I
go
played the
ahead.
game early last year, yeah, early
Yeah,
last year or whatever, I played like maybe 3 to 4 hours, and like yeah, the game's like pretty good. It's like really, really, very much a Souls-like game because
yeah.
I was definitely getting my ass kicked because I just kept trying to swing my fucking lightsaber at them because that's just how my brain works. I'm like I see them, I swing, but like yeah, I just can't do that. And I definitely like the character Cal. I believe that's the
Yeah.
person you're playing as. Yeah, the way that like they try to like set him up and things like that. But yeah, it is definitely good. I definitely have to repick it up and probably start over because I forgot how the game works. But yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely a really good Star Wars game. So yeah. Um, and next, again, what I was alluding to before, I played the Destroy Humans remake. Again, never in my dreams I thought this series would ever come back. So I love Destroy Humans 1 and 2. Like, they were amazing. Like, I have as much nostalgia for this series as like Ratchet and Clank or like Jack and Daxter, because I played the shit out of Destroy Humans 1 and 2. Like, I played them a lot. So seeing it remade was really weird and cool. And I think they did a fantastic job. I think this is like, it really just impressed me how well this remake is. Obviously some things they couldn't really fix was like the mission structure, so it does feel pretty outdated. It feels very 2005. Just like escort missions and just it just feel kind of boring sometimes. Because it is still very 2005. Mission structure. I don't think there was much they could do with that without like totally remaking the game, like making just a new game at that point.
Hmm.
But with all the game mechanics and things, it just feels so much better. Like they made Crypto like a whole new character in this game. Like he could like dash around, he could strafe, like it's just everything about his, like, oh, the jetpack doesn't suck anymore, at least in the first game. Like the jetpack used to be awful, but now it feels great. Like they made Crypto feel so much better to play as in this game. Like he doesn't feel as stiff as he did in the PS2 game. And just like all the, just like the controls, like just they just made it so much better. And I really appreciate that because I didn't expect that. I didn't expect them to really like add new moves to his like kit, or like just made him just better to control. And I don't know, I just really appreciated that. And the game itself just looks really pretty. Like I think the game looks really good, for like what it is. but yeah, I just think it's a great remake. Again, you can't really do much about like what the game is at its core, but for all the
Hmm.
little things they fix, like the character, like controls and just like weapon feels and stuff like that, I think they did a good job on that. Um, and it's only like I think it's 30 on PC and 40 on consoles for some reason. And I think that's a great price. I think $30 is a fantastic price for this game. Um, it does offer like what I got like 15 hours of gameplay out of it, and I did everything. And I think that's fair enough. I think you get enough fun out of that, and I really hope this game. I hope they make a new game basically, but I really do hope they make a remake of the second one, since I think the second one is just an improvement in all fronts. Like the game actually has like an open world, and like the side quests are like really good in the second one. And the game is just way more fleshed out. So I really hope they make a second one or a remake of the second one and then make a new one, because it's just really weird that the series is back, but I'm happy with that. So yeah, I was really impressed with this remake, and I hope they do more. So good job, THQ Nordic. Um, so yeah, I guess we could just talk about Ghost of Tsushima because I finished it as well.
All right. So how much of the game did you finish before you actually like finished the
I
last
mean,
mission?
100% of it before
Holy
I.
shit.
Yeah,
You're nuts.
yeah.
I've yet to actually do that. All I did in the post game was get the Sly armor and then I like dipped.
Yeah, no, I did everything. So.
Yeah, you're crazy. But we're gonna talk about some spoilers here. So if you don't want to hear about story spoilers for Ghost of Tsushima, you can skip to the state of play discussion or just close the episode, whatever the hell you want to do. But yeah, what did you think of like the overall like story once you got to the end?
Yeah, so it got a lot better. So yeah, so my opinion on Ghost of Tsushima when we last talked about it was only really Act One. But now that I finished Act Two to Act Three, I think the story really got, it got really good by the end of Act Two to Act Three.
Hmm.
When you have betray, or I guess betray, I guess you're like samurai code and things like that, and you're just doing what's right for the for Tsushima instead of like honoring your code or whatever. I think that was a cool little like thing. Your uncle just kind of being like the antagonist by the end, basically, where you have to like fight him and things like that with that choice at the end. I just think it was all pretty well done. Um, Even though I think like the Khan, it was kind of annoying. He kept running away all the time. Like I'm just like
Hmm.
because what I really wanted them to do was you kill the Khan at like the end of Act Two, and then maybe Act Three was full on. Just your uncle is like sort of like the villain, quote unquote, where you had to like confront him and things like that. I thought that was where the story was gonna go, but I think where they went was also pretty good. Like I felt like they kind of dragged out the Khan a little too much, but besides that, I thought the story really did pick up by Act Two to Act Three. It really did, it really started to like be good. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, definitely the story definitely picked up just because of Jin being like, I don't want to fucking do your old, samurai ways and honor and all this bullshit. And I was like, yeah, true. I hate that shit. Like, I hate this like guy that's like, but honor. And I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
what has honor done for us? But like, kill everyone because oh my god, honor. We have to like, attack them from the front and things like that. And I'm like, I'm gonna stuff this bitch. I don't care. Like, whatever. Like, but yeah, at the end when it was like, you fight him and then you either choose to kill him or let him live. And I was like, man, this guy's my last family. I'm gonna let him live, whatever.
Mhm.
And he was like, yeah, you're gonna be hunted for the rest of your days. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm the ghost of Tsushima, if you will. So, but yeah, the
Yeah.
overall story was pretty good, I will say, because just because of that aspect, because it was challenging his old ideas with the new ideas, and like that was like a constant like running theme in the game where like it wasn't just like a one-off thing where they were like, oh, like, yeah, my honor. It was like constantly, which might be annoying for some people, but I think the way that they did it and approached it for Sucker Punch was like pretty good.
Mhm. And yeah, I think that final choice was a pretty clever way. Like basically, like killing your uncle was like still honoring the samurai way and stuff like that. But it
Hmm.
really doesn't make sense in a story perspective because you kind of like abandon all of that already. So letting him live really shows that like Jin doesn't really give a crap about those traditions anymore, and he's just gonna let him live. Because like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of killing him anyway? Like, it doesn't really
Hmm.
matter. So yeah, I thought that was a really clever way to be like, you're basically picking if you're a samurai or a ghost at that point. But at that point, the story makes it clear that Jin is like he is the ghost of Tsushima at that point. So like, just laying like sacrificing him doesn't really make sense anymore. So like, yeah, letting him live seems like the correct choice narratively anyway.
Hmm.
But yeah, overall, like I'll say this game is like close to my game of the year. If Persona 5 Royal didn't came out, it probably would have been, but I love Persona 5 too much, so sorry. But I honestly like Ghost of Tsushima really impressed me, which is how it did its open world. You know how naturally it felt to discover new things with the wind and the bird and stuff like that.
Hmm.
The combat I felt was amazing. I love the samurai combat. And like just all the different ghost techniques you could use and things like that. It just felt very fleshed out and just good to play. Like I really did enjoy it. Also, it's probably one of the best looking PS4 games. Just aesthetically, it just looks very pleasing.
Hmm.
Performance wise, it was amazing. Like the load times are insane. Like they're just like insane in the good way anyway. Like they're like 1 second long. Like I don't know how Sucker Punch did it, but they did a great job with the optimization with this game. And of course, this like it could be a bit buggy. It's probably one of the buggier like first party Sony games I played, but
Hmm.
hopefully those things get patched out because the game really is great. Like I really did enjoy my time with Ghost of Tsushima. So yeah,
Yeah.
I hope it wins Game of the Year or something because I think it does deserve it. I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, it's definitely a great way to end off the PlayStation 4 era, anyways. And I
Mhm.
think that Sucker Punch, what they did with this title was really, really good. Where they were like, we want to make another open world game and like give the player as much freedom as possible, which they did. Like there was so much that you can do once you get past like the first part of the game and like the world opens up for you. You can do so many different activities. There's so much to do in this game, and like they all feel relatively fun and unique to do in a way. And a lot of them are like pretty quick to do. So like you could like spend an hour like doing like fox shrines and like all of those like other like little mini side activities, or
Mhm.
you could do like the bigger like story side missions or the other like mystic tales and things like that. So there's like so much you can do in this game that like I'm not surprised that like people are still playing the game to this day just for like fun. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, and people are still trying to like finish the game too. So but yeah, maybe one day I'll jump back into it and 100% it and things like that. But yeah, the game is really, really dope.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
All right. So last part of the show we're gonna get into is the PlayStation State of Play that happened the 6th of August. So they prefaced this State of Play because I'm pretty sure Sony saw that like these fucking Nintendo fanboys are kind of crazy when a direct gets announced and they don't read the text or anything like that. They said no big PS5 announcement. So I was like, all right, people are still gonna be angry. And guess what? The video still has a shit ton of dislikes because people are dumb. But yeah, what do you think of the State of Play as a whole? Because I thought it was okay at
I
best.
thought it was fine. I mean, for what they said it was, I didn't really expect much, and that's kind of what I
Hmm.
got. But I got things that I expected Crash 4 news and things like that. Maybe some cool indie stuff. But yeah, it was basically what I expected. I didn't really have much going in. Like maybe I thought it would show like a surprise or something, but we didn't really get any of that, which is
Hmm.
fine. Like again, they very said like, hey, don't really expect too much. This is kind of just like updates to third-party games and things like that. So yeah, my expectations were very set, and I don't know why people were really expecting something more, but I kind of got what I was expecting, so I wasn't that disappointed. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Opening up with Crash 4 was the highlight for me
Yeah, it
because
was. Yeah.
that is my currently most anticipated game of the year now. Now that everything else has come out, yeah, they showed a lot more gameplay. When they were advertising, hundreds of levels, that's because they just recycled old levels and just like added a new color palette and other gimmicks and things like that. Which I'm like, okay, I guess that's how they're gonna get away with it.
Yeah.
Um, and you can play as Coco in every single Crash level, and these skins are achieved through playing the game and like actually like doing stuff in the game and not through microtransactions, which is nice because people are very concerned about microtransactions these days, which is a good thing. But also, I think that microtransactions obviously have a place within gaming, but just don't have them planned out ahead of time, sort of thing, unless it's like actual like extra content, which is what it should be, downloadable content. Um, but yeah, I think that. Oh, and also Dingo Dial being playable, which is pretty cool, I guess, for anyone that is a major Crash fan and things like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that what they showed us for this game, I think, is all I really need before the game comes out in October. October, was it 2nd? Yeah, October 2nd. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, I am too. Again, I really like that they're like I started like the remix levels, like they add
Hmm.
like the new art style, maybe some new gameplay gimmicks. I think it's a smart way to like, revisit levels, even though, yeah, I kind of expected this to happen when they said, oh, we're gonna have like over 100 something levels. I'm like, all right, they're probably gonna reuse the same levels in some way, and yeah,
Hmm.
they are in an extent, yeah, but I don't know. I think they look different enough to like, warrant another play through the level. So yeah, I think it's pretty neat. Like I really like the one where you spin paint and like you paint the
Hmm.
level. That was pretty cool. There was
Yeah.
one where you were just underwater. Like that. I guess that's cool. I mean, not really because I hate underwater, but I don't, like, it's cool. It's cool what they're going to do like with these remix levels. So yeah, that's pretty neat. And yeah, I'm really excited for Crash 4. They're really doing a good job selling it to me. It looks like it's going to be a good, faithful sequel to Crash 3. So that's great.
Okay. I obviously wrote a bunch of games here, but we don't have to go in order. So like, what do you want to talk about next?
Okay, so I guess I could talk about that Pathless game that they showed a lot of.
Uh-huh.
Um, so this is coming on PS5. I don't know if it's going. I mean, probably on PS4, but it only showed PS5 and it's coming holiday 2020.
Hmm.
And basically it's like this open world game where you don't have like a map or anything. You kind of just gotta look at everything through like your special like vision or whatever. Or what you can see like things glowing red that you have to do and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
I guess the main gimmick is you're like an archer, right? So you shoot these things and you go real fast, and I guess that's the game. Like you go really fast and you do that. I mean, I think it looks really cool. Like sort of like that movement style where you like shoot these targets and you can like dash around the whole map looks really fun. It looks really
Hmm.
like tribes like where you like sort of like slide everywhere and stuff like that. I think it looks pretty neat. In terms of like actual gameplay, I'm still not sure what it really is. Like I don't know. Like they showed like a boss fight, but I didn't really know like what was going on.
Hmm.
But it does look interesting. It's something I would keep an eye on because I think graphically it looks really nice too. Um, as you see here, like Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. Because honestly, when this game was shown, I was like, "Is this bootleg Ghost of Tsushima? Like indie Ghost of Tsushima? Like what's going on here?"
Yeah, like
But
I got
yeah.
more Breath of the Wild vibes from it, like just like
Hmm.
how it was like set up, I guess. You also have like, this connection with your bird, and you could like the bird could like grab you and you could like fly and crap. I don't know. I think it looks pretty interesting, but it's something I'm gonna have to wait and see if it's like actually like good or not. Because the movement and stuff definitely looks really fun, but in terms of what you do and like how if it like maybe drags out or whatever, that's has to remain to be seen. Because I don't know yet. But it's definitely something I would keep my eye on. And I think they showed this before too. They showed it during the PS5 event as well, but this time they went into a lot more detail on what the game is. So yeah, that's definitely something I'm gonna keep my eye on. So yeah,
Yeah, the art style is definitely pretty cool, I will
yeah,
say. But yeah, like you said, I have no idea what the hell the gameplay actually is because you're kind of just like running super fast and just hitting these targets, and I'm like, that's cool, but like, what's like the goal at the end of the
yeah,
day? So yeah, definitely gonna keep my eye on this one. It definitely has a lot of style to it, I will say that, but
hmm
we just don't know exactly how fun the game's gonna be and how good it is. So it's gonna have to wait and see. Maybe it's gonna be one of those games where like people buy it on the PS5 because there's nothing else to play because that's what normally happens during console launches. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. I guess the next title I'll talk about really quick is the Star Wars VR game.
hmm
That was very interesting because it's coming out literally this month on the 25th. And like it looks like you're gonna be like Darth Vader's apprentice or something, and you're probably gonna be able to choose between the light and dark. I would assume it's probably gonna be a lot of like choices and things like that. It's probably gonna be it's probably not canon or things like that, but it'd probably be like a fun like Star Wars VR experience if you have the PSVR. Anyways.
yeah. They seem to be doing that with like the Iron Man and Star Wars VR. Just like I want to feel like Iron Man. I want to feel like a Jedi, or I guess Sith in this case. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably never gonna get a PSVR. I'll probably just get an actual VR headset if I ever wanted one, which I kind of
Hmm.
don't. But like VR doesn't really appeal to me that much. But yeah, it's cool if you want something new to do with your PlayStation headset. So yeah, um, I guess the other thing I want to talk about is Godfall because this is like the first like I guess like PS5 game they're really showing in depth.
Hmm.
I'm actually am happy because this is a game I've always been cautiously optimistic about because I love like loop shit. It's just like one of my favorite things. I love that gameplay loop. But I wasn't really sure if it was going to be like Destiny or like a Borderlands. And by that, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be like a live service game or a game that's already like made and like, it's like done already. And it seems to be more of like the Borderlands approach where, you have a full game to play, it's co-op, does not, everything is right there and it's a done game. It's not like Destiny where it's like more of an MMO where like you maybe have like a main like quest line to do, but you could keep playing it forever. I mean, you could do
Hmm.
the same thing with this, but the game definitely has an end point. It has a final boss, and maybe you could like new game plus it or whatever. Honestly, that's like a big relief for me since I think I like that style of like loot things more than like Destiny or whatever. Because I love things like Diablo and Borderlands where you could beat the game and just like new game plus it and like get more powerful loot and things like that. I don't know. It just feels more complete in that sense, and it feels like it like looks like Godfall's doing that same thing. In terms of gameplay, it looks basically what I expected. It looks like a good like sort of like hack and slash beat 'em up type thing with a bunch of different weapon types. And those weapon types kind of remind me of like Monster Hunter, where each one has like maybe a unique ability you could do and like just different combos and things like that. So yeah, that looks pretty interesting as well. The only thing that didn't look great was the performance, as it was still is on PS5. All this footage was on PS5, but the game still looks like it was really struggling to like keep a good frame rate.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of just confirms to me like the game is supposed to come on I think the Epic Game Store as well. So at that point, like, I'd rather just get on PC for it would run better. But again, I'm not too sure. This is definitely a game I'm gonna wait for reviews before I get it. But it's definitely a game that interests me just because I kind of like that sort of gameplay and stuff like that. And the right side is not gonna have I guess no microtransactions or anything like that. It's just gonna be like you buy it and there you go. So yeah, that's pretty good to hear as well.
Yeah. I've never been a big, like looter sort of player, so
Yeah.
but I think I would definitely appeal more to the like you said, the game's actually done and not like live service where, Destiny, I'm paying $60, but I gotta wait for the rest of the game to come out. Wait, what?
Yeah.
That just seems a little fishy for me personally. But I guess some people are okay with that, putting trust in game developers to actually finish the game when they've already bought it and they already have your money, sort of thing. But yeah, the other game I want to talk about briefly is 1010. This is the Pokemon game.
Yes, I played Temtem, so yeah.
Yeah, so now it's coming to a PS4, PS5.
Yeah.
So I was like, look at that, Pokemon. That looks like fun.
Yeah, it's just Pokemon, but more fleshed out battle mechanics and things like that. I think I talked this like in like December or January. I can't remember when I last played it. But yeah, it's just Pokemon, but again, they just revamped the battle mechanics to be, a little more engaging. Yeah, everything is a double battle because single battles could be kind of mindless. Even though I like singles more than doubles, but doubles do provide more strategic like things you could do, and the game definitely plays off that. There's a lot more abilities that benefit your partner and like just how things work. Like there's like I think there's like a whole game mechanic with synergies and things like that. So yeah, the combat's definitely more fleshed out. The game is a lot harder than Pokemon as well. And overall, I think it's a good game, but I'm just gonna wait until it actually comes out since I think they added like the fourth island. I don't know how many like regions there's supposed to be in the game, but they added like a new island I think on the PC version. So I'm just gonna wait until the game fully comes out to just replay it again, and then I'll see how it is. But as like I guess a Pokemon like spiritual successor, I'm gonna call it, not rip off. I think it's doing a good job improving the series and like moving it forward. But I don't know. It's still not what I really want from Pokemon anymore. Like the game's still very like route based, where you go through routes and like basically what you think of when you think of Pokemon. I kind of do just want like a big open world Pokemon game at this point with like just like really change it, like Breath of the Wild it, make it something new. But I guess in terms of the old Pokemon formula, it does it really well. So yeah, it does get credit for that, and I do think it's a good game. So yeah.
All right. Well, the other games I wrote down here were kind of just like whatever games, but do you want to talk about any of them?
I guess real quick, Spelunky 2. I'm not a big fan of Spelunky, honestly. Like I know it's a great game. Like I'm not. Don't get me wrong there. It's a great roguelite. But yeah, seeing Spelunky 2 looks good. It's more Spelunky 1, but more characters and content. That's good. I know people are really, really waiting for this game. It coming out September 15 is like real soon. So yeah, that's good for those people. And yeah, that's about it. Like everything else, like Bugsnax is still like a meme game that looks cool. But yeah.
Yeah. Everything else I kind of just wrote down because like, hey, it kind of look cool, but I don't really got much to talk about. But is there anything else? About it. Anything else you'd like to add, good Sa?
No, I think that's everything.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to the Travis Damian Podcast, episode 42. We will be back 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.